Our memories play an important part in identity formation and help us develop a positive sense of self, as well as a connection with our environment and the ability to navigate it. If we lose our memories, our reality immediately unfolds in frightening ways. This is a small picture of what it is like to live with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is a frightening disease that is quickly becoming the proverbial elephant in the room. Alzheimer's is a neurological condition that causes the wasting away of the brain and the death of brain cells, which leads to significant cognitive decline and memory loss. Alzheimer's disease causes neuronal death throughout the brain, which can cause the brain to atrophy, which means to shrink. This is what forms the clusters of misfolded amyloid-beta proteins that come together to create amyloid plaques in the brain. The tau protein, which is responsible for the maintenance of neuronal structure, can also be found in a misfolded state, which creates neurofibrillary tangles. For many individuals dealing with Alzheimer's, the loss of decades of memory coupled with the inability to create new enduring memories makes daily life traumatic and exhausting. Some patients wake up every day in an environment that is unfamiliar to them, surrounded by strange people and with a reflection they don't recognize. The Alzheimer's patient is in a constant struggle with reality and in a daily battle with deep fears and doubts. The patient's loved ones and caregivers feel a renewed sense of loss each time the patient loses whatever memories have been developed. The inability to make new memories makes the most basic tasks much more difficult for those who have the disease. Everything and everybody becomes unfamiliar, putting a heavy strain on the most basic interactions with their environment, especially social interaction. The patient needs to constantly relearn the names of things, their functions, and how to find them. This can cause the patient to distrust their environment and either retreat into themselves or react aggressively to the most trivial stimuli. Alzheimer's often leads to problems with communication and a loss of identity for the patient. This will strain the relationship with the caregiver. Some people who have dementia experience episodes of hallucinations and delusions where they sense things that are not actually there. In some cases, the person is simply seeing one thing as another. For example, they might be convinced that a dark rug is a hole in the ground, causing them to panic, even when there is no real danger. When the caregivers try to convince the patients that the delusions are not real, the patient might lose trust in them. The caregiver often suffers psychological and physical illnesses as a result of the pain from the continued strain on the bond between them and the patient. Another frightening symptom of Alzheimer's is wandering. The problems caused by Alzheimer's can make patients very confused and disoriented, even in environments they are familiar with. This can cause them to wander, an occurrence which can take place at any stage of dementia. 6 out of 10 people with dementia will wander, making it a serious threat to the health, safety, and well-being of Alzheimer's patients. Factors like traffic, the weather, and dangerous people make wandering harmful, and according to the Alzheimer's Association, 50% of Alzheimer's patients that wander suffer either a serious injury or death if they are not found within 24 hours. Wanderers have significantly reduced regional cerebral blood flow in the left temporoparietal region. They also display frontotemporal glucose utilization and decreased dopamine metabolism in the striatum. Circadian rhythm disturbances also cause wandering. A functionally impaired spatial and executive neural circuits are one of the biggest factors behind wandering. This is one of the biggest concerns for caregivers and loved ones of people with Alzheimer's. This can trigger anxiety as the caregivers are usually in a constant state of uncertainty unless they are giving the patient their full attention. A brief moment of laxity can lead to a terrible accident. Caring for people with Alzheimer's is very stressful and increases the likelihood of depression, emotional stress, and financial problems. Perhaps the most frightening thing about Alzheimer's is the frequency at which it occurs. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, though this is partly because the rate of death for Alzheimer's continues to increase while the rate of death from other causes continues to reduce. Half of adults aged 85 and over have Alzheimer's, and 1 in 10 people aged 65 and over, which is 10% of the American population. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. Half of Americans that suffer from Alzheimer's are not fully aware that they have a disease. In the absence of a diagnosis, all the horrors of Alzheimer's become significantly worse. By 2050, the incidence of Alzheimer's will increase to every 33 seconds. This increase will be caused by the growing population of people over age 65. Also, the number of people who live into their 80s and 90s is expected to grow, which will increase the likelihood of Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, Alzheimer's is quite difficult to diagnose. Detecting early-stage Alzheimer's takes time and research, making it difficult to make an accurate diagnosis early into the illness. With that being said, Alzheimer's is becoming easier to diagnose, and we can be optimistic about a continued increase of our ability to diagnose the disease in the future. This will open the door to treatment for many people.